Do you prefer to read a newspaper or magazine? Uh, I think I prefer newspaper because I quite interest with politics and event in around the world. So I often in news I often read newspaper about uh, international news to update event of the world. Uh, did you read comic book as a child? Yes, for sure. In the past, when I am a child, I quite like comic book, especially like Pokemon and Doraemon. So I feel it's very interested and I feel have it has a interesting storyline and vivid illustration. So I very like reading comic book. 3. Are newspaper popular in Vietnam? I think in the past, newspaper very popular in Vietnam, but nowadays with the development of technology, so I think e-news uh, e-news e-news is replaying newspaper because it very friendly and very cheap. For is reading online popular in Vietnam? I think in the past reading online is very popular in Vietnam. Like I said before, e-news very cheap because people can very cheap and eco-friendly, so people can protect forest. Besides, reading online help people reading online help people I don't know. I think e-news online very convenient and update very fast. So I think nowadays reading online very popular. 5. Do people in Vietnam like reading newspaper or magazine in general? Yes, for sure. I think in Vietnam, most people like reading news. But in the past, people often read newspaper and magazines. But nowadays, people often prefer read e-news or e-news because it's very eco-friendly and very convenient. Do you prefer to read news online or in newspaper? I think I prefer news online because e-news update very fast, so I can read I can access to a new event or a problem in the world. Besides, with the internet, I can read news in everywhere and anytime. Next, just what's the influence of reading on people? Yes, I think reading have influence on people. The first, I think when reading, people can open my mind and build up, cultivate knowledge about every field, for example, politics, law, uh, fashion, food, so on. Besides technology, so on. Besides, I think when people reading more, people can change the way thinking about some problem. So I think uh, reading help people improve thinking, logic thinking, and many soft skill. Besides, when you read book, people can reduce stress uh, after the nurse working day by comic book or fun books or uh, what's the difference between a newspaper and a magazine? I think the first in term of publish newspaper often is published more often than magazines. Newspaper often published every day, uh, whereas magazine often published on a quickly or monthly. So besides, newspaper often access to politics, law, sports, or yes, in whereas a magazine often focused on cuisine, food, or entertainment, so on, fashion, so on. Yes. So, do you think headlines are important? Yes, I think headlines play a vital role in uh, news newspaper. You know, uh, interest headline will attract a lot of people because with a short headline, people often interest and focus on the news. Uh, but however, nowadays many newspaper often cause to misunderstand in headlines, so they discredit the newspaper and lost and less brings people in newspaper. That's all. Which is more important, domestic or international news? I think, I think both domestic and international news uh, play a vital role in life people. You know, domestic supply information about event problem in their countries. Um, something thing affects directly on their life. Whereas international news update information about event around the world. For example, nowadays with the development of COVID-19, people often read uh, domestic and international to update COVID-19 in the world and protect and prevent COVID-19. Yes, that's all. 5. How have newspaper changed over the last few decades in your country? Yes, in the past, newspaper popular in the Vietnam's, but nowadays with the technology development, so people often choose read e-news because the first is very is update very fast. The second is very cheap, is free with internet. The third, uh, when you read the news, uh, uh, you can protect forest. The finally, I think it is very convenient, so we can read news in everywhere and anytime. But nowadays, I think only older uh, read newspaper because they quite low tech. So I think is older quite like newspaper. Six, do you think the government has the right to cancel the press? Do you think electronic media will replace traditional one? Yes, I think uh, nowadays uh, most of newspaper and magazine uh, is replaced by e-news or news online. You know, uh, news online have is very eco-friendly, so people can protect forest. Besides, nowadays people can access information a lot of things. For example, people can access information about from TV, application application, for example Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, so on. So I think people can choose a lot of useful uh, to reading news. So I think in the future newspaper or magazines will lose.